Good afternoon, Facebook. Today, I believe, is Saturday, the 2nd of May, 2020. It is 1:01 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Pretty sure it's Saturday, right? Yep, it's Saturday. So, the first thing, as anticipated, the statewide Stay Home, Stay Healthy proclamation from Governor Inslee's office has been extended all the way through until the 31st of May. He made this announcement in a press conference from Olympia yesterday. Alongside this extension was revealed a phased plan to reopen the state of Washington. The plan is in 4 phases. Phase 1 has been the topic of a little bit of confusion because it's being said that phase 1 is basically where we are right now, but that there will be a few adjustments. So, as far as I'm able to understand, and stated fairly clearly within this press conference, phase 1 has not yet begun. That would happen around mid-May. What are the differences between where we are now and what phase 1 is going to look like? Well, one difference that directly impacts my life and the lives of many other people in the retail industry is that retail establishments will be allowed to resume operations in the form of curbside pickups only. I'm curious to see what this would look like in a business such as mine. I guess in conversations I've had with people, curbside only means that customers do not enter the store. So I suppose it would be phone calls. How would people pay for their orders? It's the details of that type of thing have yet to really be laid out by my company. But there has been some progress made on that front. But in any case, that is part of phase 1 of Washington's 4-phase reopening. There is supposed to be a minimum of 3 weeks between phases. So provided that, as Governor Inslee himself said, that we could see phase 1 begin by mid-May, the earliest that we could reach phase 4, which is being described as the new normal in the state of Washington, would be sometime in July. Now, phase 4 still would not be a return to the life to which we had grown accustomed before coronavirus emerged. That is still on a distant horizon, probably contingent on the emergence of some vaccine. Pharmaceutical interventions, I think, was the term Governor Inslee used. So we're in this, folks, for the long haul. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to say the least. And actually, I have quite a bit of information with respect to that frustration. But first, let's just dig in with the figures. I don't enjoy doing this, but it's become something of a grim habit. Worldwide, it appears that there are now 3,467,433 reported or confirmed cases of coronavirus. Of that number, there have been 243,748 deaths. The United States is at 1,152,328 positive or confirmed cases, and we have now lost 66,921 lives. Nearly 67,000 American citizens are reported as having perished from coronavirus. In the state of Washington, we are currently sitting at... It's so far down on the list, I can't find it as quickly as I used to be able to. But we are looking at a loss of a loss of 832 lives. As of this morning, Washington State had reported 15,161 cases. Well, how are people reacting to the extension of the order. There is a class action lawsuit filed in the United States District Court in the Western Division of Washington. The complaint itself reads as follows. Defendant Jay Inslee has created an unacceptable tyranny in the state of Washington in violation of the Declaration of Independence upon which this nation was constructed, in violation of the articles and amendments of the Constitution of the United States, and in violation of the Constitution of the state of Washington. His attempt to assert himself as tyrant has restricted and denied the liberty of all Washingtonians and has violated the civil rights of the discrete class of plaintiffs named herein. Among the parties, of which there are 8, is Tim Eyman. Tim Eyman is a political activist whose ability to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances has been deemed non-essential, restricted, and denied by Inslee's executive orders. And then there are a list of other people, such as LaWanda Joy Hatch, a wedding designer and planner in Franklin County, Dean Wellsfree, the owner of Shakey's Pizza in Franklin County, Jason Bernica, the owner of an auto dealership, and 5 others. They've all gathered together to sue Governor Inslee because, according to them, he is attempting to inflict a state of tyranny on the state of Washington. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I don't really see that case making it very far in the courts. I think that is political opportunism. I understand the frustration. I understand that emergency powers in a situation such as this one are plenary, but as unhappy as I am about it, I don't see that suing Governor Inslee for trying to become a tyrant is going to be productive. However, we will see how it plays out in the courts. My prediction is that that case will be summarily dismissed. I don't think that many judges are going to be taking that seriously. There are other ways also in which the frustration I mentioned are becoming more visible, beginning to manifest themselves. A friend of mine went on Facebook and posted yesterday, "Liberate Washington" or "Free Washington" or something along those lines. That's a sentiment that, when expressed by the president, for instance, on his Twitter feed, generated quite a bit of reaction. People claiming that he was attempting to incite insurrection. Was that the word? Anyway, in this case, this was a sentiment uttered by a friend of mine on his Facebook page. And it also generated some reactions. Now, arguments and debates on social media pretty much just are what they are. But one reaction in particular stood out to me. A comment thread begun on my friend's initial thread. "Dude, this post, you and another person, I'm not going to name them, are ignorant as..." A lot of 4-letter words in here. "Not name calling, facts. My friends and family are on the front lines, fighting, getting sick from, and dying from this. And a bunch of people none of us will ever meet are running around asymptomatic, spreading that to them and tens of thousands of more, so that major metropoles, I don't know, are running out of body bags and storing bodies in U-Hauls, while a chorus of dumbasses running around and saying this is overblown media hype. F you and F..." And he goes on to personally attack my friend. Now that, hey, whatever. But one thing that stood out to me, Another comment by the same person who started that comment thread. So now I'm curious, because I like shooting automatic weapons. Does owning them or collecting them somehow make you just lose all common sense? I'm just curious. Because I actually like firearms, but it seems like all my friends that start posting pictures of them with as many hashtags as a fake-ass Instagram model suddenly lose their grip on how the rest of the civilized world operates and want everything done on their time because pew pew. Of course, I'm speaking only of white people, but that goes without saying. And that's the sentence that really jumped out at me. Again, of course, I'm only speaking of white people, but that goes without saying. Now, I don't know the person who made that statement. He's a friend of a friend on social media. But just out of pure curiosity, to see what would happen, I decided to report that particular statement, singling out white people, to Facebook on the grounds that it was hate speech with a racial undertone. Obviously, it is. So just out of curiosity, just to see what would happen, I reported it. And about 20 minutes or so later, I got the following response. We reviewed the comment that you reported and found that it doesn't go against any of our community standards. For this reason, we did not take the comment down. They did not take the comment down, and after reviewing it, decided that it didn't violate any policy on Facebook. Okay, take that for what it is. I'm not going to say anything more about it, other than to just draw attention to the fact that it happened. That's the reality of social media. That's the reality of social media, and it's a sentiment that's echoed all throughout the broader media, and a sentiment that embodies almost half of the way that the United States population thinks. The divide is growing deeper. This is going to get worse. A lot worse. Finally, there are numerous investigations going on into coronavirus, into its origin, and into whether there has been full transparency and full honesty with respect to how this began, how it has spread, and how the various governments and international entities involved have portrayed and disseminated the information related to it. Now there is a new layer to this. There is a dossier out there laying out a case against the China bat virus program. This is from NSW Coronavirus News, published today. China deliberately suppressed or destroyed evidence of the coronavirus outbreak in an assault on international transparency that cost tens of thousands of lives, according to a dossier prepared by concerned Western governments on the COVID-19 contagion. The 15-page research document obtained by the Saturday Telegraph lays the foundation for the case of negligence being mounted against China. It states that to the endangerment of other countries, the Chinese government covered up news of the virus by silencing or disappearing doctors who spoke out, destroying evidence of it in laboratories, and refusing to provide live samples to international scientists who were working on a vaccine. It can also be revealed that the Australian government trained and funded a team of Chinese scientists who belonged to a laboratory which went on to genetically modify deadly coronaviruses that could be transmitted from bats to humans and had no cure, and is not the subject of a probe into the origins of COVID-19, as intelligence agencies investigate whether the virus inadvertently leaked from a Wuhan laboratory, The team and its research, led by scientist Shi Jingli, feature in the dossier prepared by Western governments that points to several studies that they conducted as areas of concern. It cites their work discovering samples of coronavirus from a cave in Yunnan province with striking genetic similarity to COVID-19, along with their research synthesizing a bat-derived coronavirus that could not be treated. This story goes on to flesh out that sort of outline that I just laid out, the first couple paragraphs of it. It's still essentially universally accepted that this particular coronavirus, the one we're dealing with now, SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, it's universally accepted at this point, pretty much, that this virus was not man-made and that it was not genetically manipulated. Were that to be the case, we'd have bio-warfare taking place. But the focus apparently is on the negligence and the dishonesty of the Chinese government alongside the World Health Organization in their handling of the initial phases of this pandemic. We're going to be looking at 2 months of many, many millions of Americans not being able to go out and participate in the economy, taking part of everyday life. It's getting a lot of people really, really angry. And each time these lockdowns get extended, that anger is renewed. It's going to go beyond silly class action lawsuits. It's going to go beyond ugly aspersions being cast on social media threads. This is going to get bad. Of course, I understand the frustration. Personally, I was doing pretty good within the context of my own life before all this happened. There were things that I hoped I could improve upon. There were directions that I hoped my life might take. But I pretty much had a handle on almost everything. I was down to refining my daily routines to maximize outcomes. I was starting to get a little bored. Now, bored doesn't begin to describe it. And a lot of people, a lot of close friends of mine, are feeling exactly the same way. We want to do what's right. We want there to be an end to this. We want to protect human life and prevent this pandemic from getting worse. Of course, we all want that. But as I've said many times, there's so much about this that just doesn't pass the common sense checks. And there's a lot behind it. There's a lot of hidden motivations, ulterior motives, agendas, etc., that very rightly are pissing a lot of people off. People are not stupid, even if they disagree with this political ideology or that one. People are not stupid. People want to make sense of this. And sometimes in their quest to make sense of it, what they come up with looks pretty nefarious to them. And they want answers. And more importantly, they want to get back to their lives. And as far as we can tell, that's at least another month off for most of us. And we just wait and study and learn and do our best to keep things together. because this sucks for all of us. Thank you for listening. Be good to each other.